Hello, my name is Sean. Welcome to another Golden Goal Hangout. And you have me, Kyle Williams, and Steve on the call today. And I just want to start off by saying I'm still heartbroken from the game the other day.
I'm Steve Manzanucci, and I'd like to see Mr. Suarez take a bite out of Vinny Jones and see what happens for him.
And I'm Kyle Williams, third member of the panel. So let's dive right into Suarez, and I hope we have a lot of mouth-related puns as this topic begins. Sean, what do you think?
Oh, I can't believe it happened again. As a Liverpool fan, it's literally the most depressing thing that he can't control. Like, how could you not bite someone? I feel like that's the easiest thing not to do. Just like eat before the game, have a power bar or something. But I just he literally deserves whatever's coming to him. I can't defend him anymore. I'm done with it.
I mean, at least his tastes have improved. I mean, Chiellini looks a lot more tasty than Ivanovic.
At least he went after the Italian food. So I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, Italian
We
food's
taste
delicious.
good. What can I say?
You can't fault him there. He had a good choice. Steve, you're the Italian here. What do you think?
Like I just said in my intro, I just want him to take a bite out of someone who's willing to knock his teeth out. I kind of wish that he did it to Pepe, because we all know Pepe would shove his cleat so far up his mouth that it would come out his rear end. So, I think Sepp Blatter should actually take some actions and suspend this guy because clearly he's doing whatever he wants, regardless of how good of a footballer he is. The guy's an animal on the field. No pun intended this time. He he scores the goals like it's his job. Luckily, the Italians stopped him, and it was a defender off the back of his head. Buffon did his best today. He had played amazing, you know, but he
you
just
know,
sucked.
you want to hear that's ridiculous? 1 year ago today, well, not exactly today, but right after that incident, there was a sports psychologist that came out and said, Luis Suarez will do this again. I guarantee it. It's going to be a natural reaction whenever he gets really frustrated in the game, and it's just only a matter of time before it happens. And it was a year ago. So it's not going to stop. He's going to do it again if he's on the field. Like, what do you do? How many games can you ban him to stop him
Ban him for a year. Just be like ban him for a year without pay. Say, look, dude, this isn't cool.
from
Do it
club
again.
soccer?
We'll ban you from soccer.
From you can't ban him from both.
Wow, that really is a mouthful, you guys. That's a lot of food for thought. But that's really interesting you said that, Sean. I didn't hear that. What do but shh, don't worry, there's going to be a lot of those throughout this podcast. Question, though. What do you think his punishment should be? I've been going back and forth on this, and I haven't completely made up my mind. I'm curious what you guys think.
FIFA Sepp Blatter should ban him from all sports, from all soccer interaction. No pay. Teach this dude a lesson because, like I said, he's a brilliant footballer.
For how long?
Banned
Are you saying
for a
permanently?
year. For a year. No pay, nothing. I mean, take him out. I'm sorry, Liverpool fans, but this dude's gonna give someone rabies someday.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you got to think about it this way. I understand that he needs a big punishment, but there also has to, first of all, you can't ban him from international and club. When he got banned for club, he didn't get banned for international, so he can't go back the same way. But I mean, you got to do something else because I don't think like 10 games should have been enough to deter him. Like being a villain should have been enough to deter him. Like I can't believe that he's not getting it. He's got someone's got to do something else besides just banning him from the game. He needs like lessons in sportsmanship.
I believe we have a new member. Would you introduce yourself?
Yeah, what's up? What's up? Check it.
Where
What
are
are we
you?
what are we talking about?
We're talking about
Talking about
Mr.
Suarez
Suarez.
taking a chuck Chiellini.
Yeah, he likes that that Italian meat, some chicken parm, all that kind of stuff. It's not bad. No, I just want to check in and say what's up, but I gotta go. Have fun.
Have fun, U.S. camp.
Glorious leader leaves.
What's that?
The glorious leader leaves.
All right. See you later.
I I don't know about you guys, but I'm almost more on the page of like he needs to go to like rehab or get some sort of counseling for this because
Yeah, cannibalism, rehab.
because like
Sometimes.
I mean on the one sense like it's his third offense and it's pretty outrageous to begin with, but I'm also thinking of it. It's not like what he did today wasn't really he's not going to injure the other player by like nibbling him. I mean, it's a crazy thing to do, but like I think it'd be more messed up if someone punched someone in the face or something. But he's clearly mentally unhinged and like does not know how to handle his emotions on the field. And I part of me just sort of feels bad for him in some way because he seems like a child out there.
Yeah, no,
He reminds me of a 2-year-old who got his teddy bear taken from him, and he
Yeah.
wants to bite his younger sister or older brother because he has nothing else better to do because he has no control of the situation. So I want someone to bite him and see how he feels.
no. Well, there was someone in ESPN who wrote an article just about like his upbringing and how in Uruguay he was like there's a lot of mob activity in his soccer, and he's got a very angry childhood, and he like developed this habit of biting. So it's like something that is just ingrained in him that can't get away, and I don't know how you get rid of it. But then that being said, if you can't get rid of it, all these teams that want him now, do you think they still want him? Like before this happened, Barcelona was saying maybe they get him and they give Alexis Sanchez to Liverpool, which I would have loved, and I would still love now, especially after this incident. And then Benzema to from Real Madrid to Liverpool with like 62 million going the other way. Like I don't think they're going to be willing to do that deal anymore because he's just literally a ticking time bomb. Like is he stuck at Liverpool? Does Liverpool even want him? It hurts their image. He's really put everyone in the tough.
What are your thoughts on requiring him to wear a muzzle for all matches going forward?
I don't hate it.
Or one of those little S&M shoe toys. he has to have a safe word.
Little apple. Put an
Yeah.
apple in his mouth.
His safe
Yeah,
word is going to be Chiellini now.
Speaking of those transfer rumors, I agree with you. I think teams are definitely going to back off him now. I think Liverpool's kind of stuck with him in this situation. But I was kind of shocked that Barcelona and Madrid were willing to give up those players and that amount of money for him. Because I rate those guys somewhat comparably, and I don't think Suarez is that much better than either. So
I'd rather have.
Go on.
Yeah, at this point, I'd rather have Alexis Sanchez. Maybe Benzema. Yeah, I'd like him, but I think Alexis Sanchez.
They're both younger than him as well.
No, yeah, no. I'm just like the type of player Alexis Sanchez. I would prefer him. I would still like Benzema too, but I still would like after this incident. I'm tired of dealing with Suarez as a Liverpool fan. It's too hard to defend him, and when we do, then he comes out and says he wants to transfer when we're the only ones standing behind him.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, screw you, man. We don't want to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, and suspensions are going to hurt your team if he misses so many games each year.
Exactly.
Yeah,
why would you give up 2 guys who are leading their nations in the World Cup right now to the knockout stages between Benzema and Alexis Sanchez? I mean, Benzema single-handedly has scored like 90% of France's goals right now, I believe. He has like 3 or 4 at least.
And a missed PK.
All right,
we won't talk about that, but Alexis Sanchez, Chile take second in the group, you know?
Well, I guess if we're going to move on to the other teams, I think the next topic has to be U.S.-Portugal. So, Steve, what did you think about the game?
As a goalkeeper, I didn't like what happened in the first 5 minutes and the last 5 minutes. Tim Howard lost control of his defense, and he could have made a better play on each ball. In between those 10 minutes, he was probably one of the best keepers in the world.
Oh, okay. Blaming Tim Howard, huh?
No, not putting the blame completely on Tim Howard. I'm putting the blame on the team. But, however, he should have made a better effort.
Bull, what do you think?
I mean, the last 5 minutes were a real nail biter. Wait, shoulder biter? I mean, I could tell that the U.S. team was just so nervous. The U.S. team was so nervous that they were going to lose the ball, and they were playing like it. And Bradley, who was supposed to have the most composure on the field of all of the players, was literally the one who looked the most bent out of shape of just having the ball at his feet. And I think it's an Achilles heel of ours that we give up these goals at the end of games. Our defense just like loses concentration, and it's not good. And Jeff Cameron, who I think has had a good World Cup, had some just didn't look himself. Like there's you can't make those errors when you're the last defender, and you can't make as a team make those errors when you're up 2-1 and you have a chance. Like just pack everyone in the box, kick it out, put it in the corner, do something. There's no excuse for that. That was a great cross by Cristiano, but there's no excuse for that.
Yeah, it's funny because I agree. I thought Cameron played really well, but you could say he was outright to blame for obviously the first goal, and the second goal he was really not marking Varela, who came in behind him. so it's sort of funny because other than that, he was very sharp. But yeah, those 2 errors cost your team 2 points. So you can't have that at the World Cup. But
this is a team game, so it's everyone's to blame. So the first goal mistake starts with Cameron. Someone has to mark Nani on the weak side, and then also Tim Howard's got to not try and telepathically make this save before it happens. He slipped because of that. That stinks. Exactly. And as a goalie, you got to take ground when the guy's head is not looking at you because you have to close down and get bigger.
Especially as Nani. Nani literally couldn't hit the side of a barn.
If you screamed at him, he pissed his pants and kicked the ball over the goal. He did half the time.
And speaking of the team play, I think that's a key point because I know a lot of people are giving Bradley a lot of flack after that turnover. I don't know about you guys. I thought he actually played much better versus Portugal than he did versus Ghana. Obviously, that turnover can't happen, but there was still a lot of the play that happened after the turnover. The defense didn't pick up any of the markers.
Kyle, that's the difference between the diarrhea and solid poop. Like, he was so bad against Ghana that he could have only gone up, but he still wasn't the player that he's supposed to be. He's not. He doesn't look like he belongs out there.
I disagree. I still think he's one of our 4 or 5 best players, and I think it's just tempering people's expectations a little bit. I mean, he's still arguably our most important player. I think he's being asked to do a role that's not his natural role, and I personally think he's doing a pretty good job at it. But obviously, he's not perfect, and it's also the World Cup. Like, he's playing against the best players, and I still think he's showing well. He hasn't done, I think, his best, and hopefully we see his best versus Germany or further in the tournament. But I think people have been pretty harsh on him, in my opinion.
Do you think he's outmatched because of the MLS? Do you think he's lost a step because he's playing against competition that's less than what it was in Italy and England and Germany?
You know, I thought that was going to happen when he left Roma, but, you know, he's just playing with probably the wrong person, and that person being Jermaine Jones, who's had a wonderful tournament so far.
Yeah. Because
they're the exact same player. End-to-end disruptors who can distribute the ball when they need to and take that ridiculous shot when they have to. That's, I think, the issue at hand. Jermaine Jones is playing better than Michael Bradley right now. Maybe you bench Michael Bradley.
But
he's one showing.
Steve, just on that, though, I feel like I agree. I think Jermaine Jones has been really great. He's been awesome this tournament. But you've had Jermaine Jones and Beckerman kind of playing the 2 holding midfielders, doing all the dirty work, and Jones has gotten forward, made some good passes, and obviously that shot was unbelievable. But Bradley really has been playing like a traditional number 10 role for us, or at least not quite a defensive midfielder role. And again, obviously versus Ghana, the whole team didn't play well. He didn't play well. But I thought versus Portugal, he played much better. Obviously, the team
he absolutely did. I couldn't agree with you more. But maybe we put him back in that holding midfielder role next to Jermaine Jones.
Yeah.
Kyle Beckerman's actually a better playmaker than he is. So why wouldn't we put him up there?
Yeah, it's we don't have a natural 10. That's another reason why you question why Landon Donovan's left off the team. Maybe you put Jones and Bradley next to each other with Donovan in front of them. Again, it's a moot point at this point. But I don't know. I just think we have to recognize Bradley's still one of our 4 or 5 best players. I thought he improved a lot versus Portugal. I think his best is still yet to come. I kind of want to give him some slack.
Well, if you say we're on natural 10, but let's just think about the guy who took over 10, or Len Donovan, who hasn't seen a minute yet. Mix. I think
I'm set with that.
You didn't see a minute. I think I would like to see him come in to provide that. I think it would be a smart move, to be honest. He's a very creative, attacking-minded player. He doesn't seem like maybe he comes in later because, I mean, starting off games, he's not the same player that he is coming in as a sub. I'm surprised we haven't seen him come as a sub because he's provided that spark that really has helped out. So I don't know why we haven't seen him yet.
I think it's especially, say, if we're down versus Germany or if we need to score a goal, maybe you take off a Beckerman, slide Bradley back, and put Diskerud in. I think that's something we could see maybe in the 65th minute if we need a goal. Because I agree, I like him off the bench. He always creates some flair and finds some opportunities for the team.
If we may, let's talk about this subs that happened towards the end of the game for the U.S. I'd like to begin by saying I didn't like Omar Gonzalez coming in.
I agree.
I like the idea of the whole defense pack the box, but he's not the right guy to put in. He's too much of a space cadet. Makes too many mistakes. If you really wanted to, you can even be nitpicky and point at him because he was way too far up offensively for a defender. That's why there weren't enough players to come back and say, "Oh, hey, look, this guy's all the way."
Yeah, no, I was wondering why maybe
exactly.
John Brooks wasn't brought in after his performance versus Ghana. But I agree with you, Steve, on that point. But I also want to give Jurgen Klinsmann credit for like the DeAndre Yedlin sub, the John
That was a
Brooks
great
sub.
sub. Up until that point, they've been great subs.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna give him some credit because I thought his subs for two guys that people questioned him thought he might be thinking forward to 2018, who have already made a difference in 2014. So I know I was critical of him for that, but I definitely give him credit, and he was definitely pulling the right strings there.
Well, now I give you this.
John, what do you think?
About the subs?
Yeah,
Or just the overall?
Yeah, on his players.
No, I just didn't like the way that. I like the player selection. I like the lineup. I like what Jermaine Jones is doing. I have to be honest. I was never a huge fan. I just kind of saw the reason he was on the team. And there was a lot of times where I was kind of like, you should bench him. But he really played one of his best games, and he really starting to control the midfield and not just play as a destroyer. He's really starting to get into the offense. And I liked our offensive display. I mean, Portugal's had a weak defense, and I really kind of may sound weird, but I like the fact that we gave up the first goal because I don't know if we would have played as open as we did if we had scored the first one. We could have turned out like Ghana, but after we let in the first goal, we started really taking a lot more chances and really looking like a team that was more dangerous than Portugal. And Cristiano Ronaldo came out and said after the game, he's like, "We were not as good as we think we are. Maybe we're just average." And we made Cristiano Ronaldo and Portugal think that about themselves. So that really shows you what kind of team we are and the power we have. If we just believe in ourselves and don't play this Greek bullshit where we sit back and try to get like a goal on a target, like in a counterattack by passing it all the way up to the target forward and getting some weak crossing. I think if I'd rather play us against Germany, we play against Germany that way and go out firing and lose than try to like play for a draw and get smoked by Mueller and Özil and Götze.
If we play against Germany that way, I think Juan needs to be our target striker up there because for those 5 minutes that he played, probably some of the best, aside from Clint Dempsey, that someone has done up there. Josie Altidore, obviously, we didn't really get a great chance to take a look at him because he popped his hamstring, but Wando had an unbelievable. The first time he touched the ball, he had an unbelievable 1-2 that just took it right to the corner, knew exactly what to do with it, and held it there. Eventually, they almost had a shot on goal and scored. Yeah. So I think they should give you credit for that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve. And just to go on Sean's point, I think you really hit the nail on the head. One of the things, I think the next step, if the U.S. is going to keep progressing, which I think we will, but the next step they're going to have to make either in this World Cup, the next one, or the next one is not being so reactionary, is I think what you were talking about, Sean. If you look at 2006, it took till like those red cards versus Italy for us to start playing. All of 2010, we fell behind versus England, fell behind versus Slovenia, fell behind versus Algeria. Again, versus Ghana, we didn't start playing until they equalized. And then now versus Portugal, we didn't start playing until we went down. Right? So there comes a point, especially I think Germany's going to be a huge test, where we have to come out playing that aggressively with that confidence from the get-go and really take it to a good team. Whereas I don't think we've done that yet in a World Cup. And I think as we showed versus Portugal, we're capable of it. But it is a mindset where you walk into a game and think you're good enough to just do that from the start. So what do you guys think about that?
Going off that point, I'm going to take an example from a game today. The Japanese-Colombia game, it didn't end the way that I thought it would end. They kind of took it to them in the second half. But the first half, Japan pretty much controlled the game. They got beat a little bit on the counters with Colombia, which is always a danger, especially with these fast teams, and Germany could kill us with that too. But they really showed that they weren't afraid of Colombia. They passed the ball around. They made a lot of incisive movements, and they finally got rewarded with a goal at the end. They didn't deserve that. That PK was stupid that the defender incurred but they took it to the team, and then they actually controlled the midfield, and they imposed their style on the game and really relegated Colombia to a counterattacking team. Now, I missed the second half, and apparently Colombia must have changed their game plan. But I mean, it just shows that like you may be not the higher quality team in terms of rankings, but you can impose your style of play on the game if you sit back like the Greeks. Maybe you get like a 2-1 win like they did, but most of the time they just end up playing really boring soccer and barely escaping their group because they just wait and sit back. And it's not good for American soccer because that's not the mentality American sports fans want to have. And I don't think it's good for our continued success because if we want to be one of those teams that teams are afraid of, we have to be the team that can take it to them rather than just keep receiving it and just hope we bounce a lucky one in or two.
All right, I have two quick questions for you guys. The first, Portugal, obviously, we kind of touched on it. I don't think they're that good. I expect Ghana to beat them on Thursday. What do you guys think? And then two, do you think the U.S. and Germany are going to have a tie-type game, or do you think they're both going to go out and play for a W? Steve?
I was talking this with Sean earlier actually today, and I think that Germany and the U.S. are going to have at it. It's like father-son, Darth Vader versus Luke Skywalker. We got a couple players. We stole a couple players.
Student versus teacher.
Absolutely. We stole a couple players from them, but I feel like we have a very good shot of absolutely catching them off guard. We played them a year ago. We beat them 4-3, and there was both of our B-plus squad and their B-plus squad. They didn't have Manuel Neuer in goal, but they had all the same guys that are playing right now. Half of them didn't start. The other half came in the game later. Obviously, those are the ones that produced the goals. But the U.S. had Landon Donovan and a bunch of guys that got cut playing. So let's just imagine what can happen with this team. If we jump out early ahead, just catch them off guard, I think we could do some damage. As for the Portugal game, they're going to get Pepe back. And that's a big, big thing because actually, no, I don't. Did Pepe receive a straight red card?
I think he's eligible to play next game.
Is he? Because I thought if he received a straight red card, he can't play 2 games after. But regardless, if they get Pepe back, their defensive line is going to be pretty solid. And you know what? Their goalie didn't do too bad against us. We made him look better than he should be, but he's still their number one. And I feel that they're going to give Ghana a run for the money. But in the end, I feel like Ghana is going to be way too in shape. Cristiano Ronaldo is only one player against 11. So he might net one, but I think Ghana's going to win.
Yeah, I feel like Cristiano Ronaldo is bound to net one. I think, he's just too good of a player. I think he's going to get like a free kick or a header off the corner. I don't think it's going to be like an amazing goal, but I think he's going to get it in the end. I think Ghana's a very good team. They're very young. I also think, though, Portugal knows they can possibly make it, but at the end of the day, they're more playing for pride because I don't think they can put up 4 goals without letting in one against Ghana. So I think at the end of the day, they're gonna take it to him for pride, and I think because Cristiano Ronaldo knows that this is pretty much his last real game where he's the center of the team. Because next World Cup, there's got to be another guy who takes over for him because he's gonna lose a lot of his pace. So yeah, I think it's gonna be a tie. I think it's gonna be a 2-2 tie. To be honest, I don't know how. I know that they're gonna be throwing everything at the goal at the end just to try to, especially Ghana, just to get something and try to win the game. But I feel that it's gonna tie. Just like that's just not based on logic. I feel like it is.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually think the game will play into Ghana's hands because Portugal, like you said, has to come out and score some goals. And Ghana loves to attack teams in the counter. That's when they're the most dangerous. And I think both teams are going to play very aggressively. I think Ghana will win, but I think we're going to see a lot of goals in that game. I think we're going to have like a 3-2, 4-3, something like that, crazy. And then I also just agree with Steve. I think U.S. and Germany, I think the tie might be in the back of their minds late in the game. But other than that, I expect both teams to come out and play. And I don't expect there to be any sort of going for the tie from the onset. But anyway, moving on, we could maybe we want to talk about some of the matchups that have already been set for the round of 16. Let's start with our host nation, Brazil. They've drawn Chile, which should be an excellent matchup. What do you guys think?
that could be one of the most exciting matches of the World Cup. I think Chile is just an unbelievable team. They got a lot of talent, and I think they press the ball really high. And I think Brazil is not one of those teams that can pass themselves out of these situations. They try to use their flair to get themselves out of these pressing situations, and that can get them in trouble against a Chile team because they can just swarm the ball and just get one of these easy ones and just put a through ball to Alexis Sanchez. All of a sudden, they're up 1-0. Brazil's on their back heels. How can we lose in the round of 16 at our home? I think them having home field advantage could actually maybe hurt them a little bit because I feel like Chile is just a little more just like optimistic and just having more fun with it. And I feel like Brazil is going to show, it's going to start to wear that they have to win this game, that they can't lose in round 16 when they're hosting, and that could come out to hurt them as much as the home field advantage usually comes out to help. Wow,
Steve, what do you think? The pressure gets to Brazil? How do you like the matchup?
You can really go either way. You can take a look at how Chile played against the Netherlands, against a team that's been cohesive and have a great midfield, just like Brazil does. Or you can take a look at how they played against Spain. And have a midfield that's been shaky and has a huge support group, regardless of whether or not they have home field advantage. Spain was expected to win the World Cup again, if Brazil didn't. So they had just as much high expectations. It's a toss-up. I think that Brazil goes in the first half thinking, we're home field, we're going to win this. Neymar's going to score a ton of goals, we're good. And then they're going to get thrown around a bit. We're going to see a goal from Alexis Sanchez. We're going to see Arturo Vidal going end-to-end, battling with Oscar in the box. But then you also have to think about the defensive side. The Netherlands don't exactly have the greatest defense. We know that. They have a few good defenders, but they don't play well cohesively. And they have a goalie who's not really been tested. And when he was, people scored on him. So Julio César is a little bit out of his prime. However, you still have Thiago Silva and David Luiz to deal with in the center. So those guys are much faster than Sergio Ramos and Gerard Piqué. That's for sure. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think that Brazil squeaks by just barely. PKs.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the matchup. I think Brazil is definitely wary of the threat Chile poses. I haven't been that impressed with Brazil yet. They seem to be, obviously they're talented, they're the home nation. They seem to rely on Oscar and Neymar to create a lot, and they're those type of players, which they can create. Obviously Neymar is leading the tournament in goals. But I think that a team like Chile is very good at counteracting that. They're going to be all over those guys every time they pick up the ball. And I haven't seen Brazil combine that much. It's been a lot of individual brilliance. So I think it's a tough matchup for them, and I think both teams are quality. So, and I agree with Sean. I think that if it's the second half and say they go down a goal, or if they're tied and Chile starts playing well, I think they're really going to feel a lot of pressure. So, I kind of like Chile in the matchup. That's if I had to make a prediction.
I hope you're right. I don't want to see Brazil win.
Me either.
But speaking of which. The World Cup draw has all of the South American teams matching up on the same semifinal grouping. So moving on to Suarez and Uruguay playing Colombia. Do you guys think Uruguay has a chance with Suarez likely being suspended, or what are your thoughts on that game?
No chance. I saw Uruguay play without Suarez. They looked boring. They did get a red card in the game, but they just didn't look like they're connecting. Cavani does not look like one of the top strikers in the world. He doesn't look prolific at all. He's helping out in defense. He's being a good player, for the team, but he's not really threatening that much offensively. And Suarez was a little slowed down by the knee injuries, but you saw with his the chances he had today, which he didn't finish. But he didn't finish sometimes in Liverpool. But he'll get those chances again. He'll bear him. And those chances against England, he was barely there all game, and then he nets 2 goals. He can be quiet all game, and then he'll just have moments of brilliance that change the game. And without that type of game changer, and without Cavani being the type of player that he usually is, I think Colombia runs all over him. Because I was watching Colombia, it's just they get a little bit of space and they run at you like and the defenders get caught like a deer in headlights. They literally just tramp all over you, and they got like a 3-on-1 with that. And a little bit ago, you were like in their box. It's scary how good they are, and I don't think Uruguay has the defense to contain them. I don't think they have the offense to offset the goals that Colombia's going to score. I think it's going to be a blowout if Suarez is not there. I think it's going to be another like 3-0 to 4-1.
Yeah, I agree. I think Colombia, they have a really strong side. They don't press quite as high as Chile, but they're as dangerous as the counter as anyone. Jackson Martinez got 2 goals today. He looks super sharp. James Rodriguez has been everywhere. Steve, let's get your thoughts on the game, but also don't be afraid to mention Italy's disappointing performance today.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's start with Colombia versus Uruguay. Uruguay reminds me of the Miami Heat. You have LeBron James, who happens to be the equivalent happens to be Mr. Suarez, and then you have Dwayne Wade, who happens to be Mr. Cavani, a guy who's decided to take a lesser role. And then you have Chris Bosh, who's Diego Forlan, sitting on the sidelines, kind of not really playing anymore, looking like an alien with his long hair, but or now he's Buzz. I don't know, but that being said, Cavani's taken on a second-man role, and I guess rightly so because Suarez has been the hotter guy. However, Suarez is also crazy. So now you get him potentially suspended. Cavani's got to step up and be that Dwayne Wade from 2003 that won the NBA Finals with Shaquille O'Neal. He's gonna be able to motivate his group and say, "Look, guys, we're still in this. Look what I did in Italy. Look what I did at PSG, even with Zlatan." And I'm gonna have to agree with Sean. I think Colombia's gonna run all over them. They're just too solid of a fundamental team like the San Antonio Spurs that are gonna.
All right, Steve, let's do the post-mortem on Italy. I think we all agree Colombia's.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
They didn't deserve to win.
What went wrong with Italy today besides
being Italian? Besides being Italian.
Yes.
Yes. Let's make fun of the Italians. It's fine. First we want to play the Italians, now we're going to make fun of them. Prima la carne, okay?
Hey, 2 straight World Cups. They get bounced in the first round. What do you think, Steve? Do they have to overhaul the system? What's going on?
Prandelli had something good going for him before he came in. He's been tinkering too much, and that's why he resigned. A lot of the pressure is going to come down on him, and he didn't have a set game plan. He tried to tailor the team to the team that they're playing instead of coming in and having a system saying, okay, you know what, we're just going to play Catenaccio this whole tournament. Okay, you know what, we're going to play tiki-taka soccer this whole tournament, or tiki-tali as you call it. But every game was different, and he didn't have the right guys starting, didn't have the right subs coming in. They just looked flat. The whole game plan was brace like a nutshell, and then play to Pirlo because he'll do something with it. They had flashes of brilliance from guys like Marco Verratti, who's going to take over for Pirlo now that he's done. They, of course, missed Daniele De Rossi in the midfield. Buffon had an amazing game. He's the reason why they stood in at 1-0 the whole time because he had one amazing double save in the first half, and then Suarez came in. That was probably the reason why he wanted to bite someone because Buffon stuffed him. That was it. And then you have Claudio Marchisio kicking people in the knees. That's a straight red card. Just by the rules. You lift
he's lucked out with the whole Suarez incident. He hasn't gotten as much blame coming his way as I think he deserves. He really cost them going down a man.
Absolutely did. You cannot go 10 versus 11 against a team with Suarez or Cavani in it because they're just going to tire you out. Doesn't matter how crazy they are. And
Bulba, what do you think? Italy lacked identity this tournament?
Yeah, no, Steve, my mom told me the same thing. Don't tinker too much. But really, that was not a spicy meatball. But no, really, I thought that Costa Rica game really hurt them. I did like the way that Italy was playing. It was a lot less boring. I thought it was funny when, as soon as they went down one man, the announcer's like, oh, now they return to the Catenaccio, because I think I don't think it was really Cesar Prandelli as much as, the tinkering didn't help. The tactical things, he even resigned saying he took a lot of blame for it. But Balotelli just looked awful. He's just such an up and down player, and he's such a head case. And he didn't look like he was dangerous for most of the game. Besides the goal against England, and then Immobile looked immobile, or Mobile he looked immobile. Like they didn't have any threatening players on offense. Andre Pirlo literally seemed like the only player capable of getting anything off the free kicks, off everything. He seemed like their only capable player of winning the game.
Let me ask you guys this. Obviously, Italy played their game in Manaus versus England. So teams who've played in Manaus have yet to win following that. How do you think that bodes for the U.S. versus Germany, also given that they have one less day of rest? Do you think that's going to be a factor?
Yeah, there wasn't enough factors going against them. That's gonna hurt. They played their hearts out in that Portugal game, and they got it ripped out right at the end. That's what really bothers me. That's why I'm rooting really hard for Portugal to just take it to them in the beginning and get like 2 goals, and then Ghana fight back, so then I can watch that USA-Germany game with a little more confidence that we can still get through if we lose it, because I think we're going to be mentally and physically exhausted.
Steve, what do you think?
I couldn't agree more. I mean, like Sunday, I ran a half marathon, 70-degree weather and windy. I'm still aching two days ago. Now, granted, I'm not a professional soccer player and don't train 8 hours a day, for the sport I love. I wish I did. But, to have them be playing in such a humid atmosphere against such tough teams that rice you back and forth across the pitch, especially,
like Germany,
playing Ghana previously before Portugal, who has the talent of Cristiano Ronaldo, not even though he's playing like crap, Raul Meireles, it's going to be going against them, that's for sure. And obviously you have 1 day less rest than anyone else. They're the most traveled team in the tournament, and that's the biggest.
Steve, here's my question that I'm asking myself, because we know the U.S., whether they are mentally, physically, emotionally fatigued, they're gonna give 100%. They always do. But if you're Jurgen Klinsmann, do you think about, we've played mostly the same players the first 2 games, do you think about maybe starting a Chris Wondolowski or making some subs just to hopefully have some fresher legs to go versus Germany? Would you make any lineup changes?
Absolutely. I think that they will start a Chris Wondo or an Aaron Johansson up top. But I don't think there'll be many. I think Graham Zusi will come off the bench again.
Okay.
Because he clearly didn't do anything all game except until the end, until that Clint Dempsey goal. I mean, that was obviously a great cross and great heads-up play. He's created the most chances in the MLS so far this year, up until when he stopped playing, I guess you could say. So I see them making a few changes and have a few guys come off the bench that probably should have came off the bench the last game too.
But do you bench Dempsey for Wando and Johansson? Like, how would you? I don't think.
No, I wasn't saying both of them. I said one of them. I think Dempsey starts. The guy's had an amazing tournament.
You play up top. Like you would change the formation then.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, I could see that happening too. I think they might start Wando and Dempsey up top and take either Bedoya or Zusi off in the midfield, just to rotate guys a bit, just to keep legs a little fresh. And I don't know, maybe like a mixed Diskerud or someone like that to start. But I don't know. I just think I worry about the travel and playing in Manaus and the 1 day less rest, especially versus a team like Germany, who's also extremely fit, who really works other teams to death. So I think it's going to be a factor. I just hope the U.S. is up to the task.
Yeah, I think we should just it sounds like playing for the tie. I know before I said like we should play more open game, but I really think we should try to control the midfield as much as possible, even if we have to clog it, because they have such a talented midfield that I don't think we should put another forward up top. I think we should keep it the way it is. Maybe make our substitutions with the midfield, because they're gonna run all over us if we don't have more bodies in there. Like I'm fine with Dempsey's shown a propensity to be able to score while being the target striker. I think he's actually doing a better job than Altidore would have done up there, but we don't know. I mean, that's obviously a question. That's obviously a statement that can't be proven. But I think we stick with the same formation. I think we just change out out Bedoya for Zusi. Maybe bring in Bedoya later. Should see how that works out. Something.
But do you think a guy like Jermaine Jones, he's been an animal these last 2 games. He's had so much energy all over the field. Do you think he could do that a third game on 1 day less of rest?
I don't know who you could change him for. And we have no other player that can do what he can do. He's kind of stuck in that.
Yeah, I hope he could do it for another 90. I
Yeah.
just worry. I worry.
Well, I see that as his game. That's his game. That's what he's been playing all of his life. So I don't see that changing up, anytime soon. I also, you brought up a very good point, Sean. Dempsey is more of a striker up top. He's at his best when he's the last guy on offense. If you understand what I'm saying, he's not a number 10, not even really a number 9. He's just a goal scorer.
Yeah, he's best in goal.
Yeah, and I hope they don't. Like I said, I hope they don't bring a mixed Discaroo to start, because he's just that type of guy who comes off the bench that just wreaks havoc because he can. He's just so unpredictable.
Yeah,
so,
not to beat a dead horse, I really think a Landon Donovan would have been a key starter just to mix it up, fresh legs this game, but that's neither here nor there. But I guess let's maybe move on and talk about our friends from the South. Mexico had a great performance versus Croatia. Their coach is loving it, obviously. What have you guys thought about Mexico, and what do you see in their matchup versus the Netherlands in the next round?
I personally love their coach. Him just tackling.
Me too. He's he's the best.
He's like just a big, gigantic teddy bear. How can you not rally behind that coach? I mean, they picked, after all the coaching changes they made, they really found like the perfect coach to lead them the World Cup and really recover their team. Now with Rito coming back and like scoring, that could be a big thing, because finally getting on the board for him, he's a good striker when he's on target. So I don't think they beat Netherlands, but to be honest, I didn't think they'd get out of the group. I didn't think they deserved to get to the World Cup. They've been just surprising me. Rafa Marquez has been playing like he's 5 years younger. He's really leading the team. He's not headbutting anyone or stomping on anybody like he likes to do. I think the Netherlands wins this game, but to be honest, I don't usually say this, but I'm rooting for Mexico, because you got to root for a team that can literally go from what they were to what they are now and really just carry this momentum further. It's fun to watch.
Steve?
I agree. I hate to say it, but I'm rooting for Mexico as well, because it looks better for the U.S.'s group, the CONCACAF, if they continue to advance. So right now, they're 2 for 3 of all the teams from the CONCACAF in the tournament to advance to the next rounds. If that was to keep, if hypothetically speaking, the U.S. is to do that, who knows? Maybe we'll get better draws and won't get put in every single group of death every time. That goes for all of us.
Yeah.
Costa Rica was kind of SOL, but they played out of their minds, just won a group that was also considered group of death number 2.
Yeah, let's talk about the confederations a little bit. Obviously, CONCACAF has been the surprise of the tournament with Mexico and Costa Rica. The U.S. looks with a good chance to advance as well to make it 3. Asia has been very disappointing, obviously. Do you guys see maybe in the future that they reallocate some of those bids, maybe take one away from Asia or Africa, maybe the CONCACAF gets another bid, maybe Europe gets an extra? What do you guys think?
Steve, you want to
go? Yeah, I want to first correct myself. We're 2 for 4 right now, because Honduras just basically gets red cards and kicks people in the back of the knee. I don't think that the CONCACAF will get more bids per se. I just feel like they're going to reconfigure the drawings.
Okay.
I think Europe deserves another one. I think there's a lot of teams we know should have deserved it to get in. Ukraine is one of them. I think Asia has consistently performed poorly outside of the World Cup, where it was in South Korea and Japan. That was one of their best showings, and ever since then, really haven't seen much. Africa, Ivory Coast tends to has the second or third World Cup that they've lost? 3? Yeah, so they've looked bad. They just haven't had the showings. And then I feel like they've been looking to reorganize it. I think Europe has been actually pointing the finger a little bit at the CONCACAF and saying we don't deserve it, because we actually got that extra one a couple of years ago.
Yeah, the extra half.
Yeah, that half.
Yeah.
So I think we do. I don't think we deserve it yet. I think we have enough I think we deserve better draws. I think that will help they do it like coefficients, like the way they do Champions League. But I do think Europe deserves another one. They have so many teams that can come out of there each year. There always seems to be one or two ones that are like, come on, are you serious? They didn't make it. and then you see these Asian teams like South Korea and Australia, and they just like they don't look like they deserve to get over Sweden, Ukraine, and stuff. So yeah, I agree that I think Europe's going to get another one in the next 2 World Cups.
Yeah, and obviously Asia has been really, really disappointing, but also Africa. Like again, you mentioned Sean, the Ivory Coast they've been talked about each of the last 3 World Cups and haven't advanced. Outside of Ghana, Africa really hasn't had too many bright showings. So, and there's obviously a lot of talented players, talented teams. So I'm hoping maybe get another World Cup in Africa in the future. Hopefully those teams can start showing better on the big stage. But I guess with that, let's move on to let's talk a little bit about Costa Rica versus Greece, and how those are 2 surprising teams who've made it to the knockout stages, and obviously not the sexiest matchup. But what do you guys think about that?
Greece. I feel I didn't think they were going to pull it off. I was actually talking to my brother the other day. It's like they just literally play for the tie every game. Then they hope that Samaras gets loose, scores a goal, which he did, and they like once they went up 1-0, it was like, oh god damn it, like they're going to win this game because they're just going to sit back. And Costa Rica, they did a similar thing. They played the high line against Italy, and they had a lot of all sides in that game. I don't know how it's going to be. I think it's going to be a very boring game. I feel like it could go either way. I don't think Greece is that great of a team. I think Costa Rica is maybe better, but I mean, it's going to be. I may like if I'm at work, I wouldn't force to watch it to risk my job to watch it because it's just going to be like one Samaras goal in like the injury time or something that decides the game, or a Brian Ruiz header off a corner in the like 93rd minute that's going to end the game. It sounds exciting for me.
And Steve, I always say Greece plays like a really poor man's Italy, just really defensive, looking to get 1 goal and then just play defense. What do you think?
Couldn't agree more. They had that one Euros where they took it by surprising everyone by just doing exactly that, and they're going to keep doing it until someone really shows them up. And guess what? That same bad Catenaccio, or I don't even know how to say in Greek, has helped them advance again. I think Costa Rica is going to take it to them. They're coming off.
Here's a question for you guys. So you have, when we're talking about the U.S., obviously a team in transition. I think they've established that they're one of the top 16 teams probably in the World Cup, but obviously still trail the top 1 or 2 tiers of teams. So you have a team like Greece who plays all for practicality, not pretty, but they get results. They've won a Euros. They sometimes advance to the knockout stages in the World Cup. When you're the U.S., when you're playing Germany in a big game like that, do you want to see the U.S. play for practicality and just really play defensively, look to get out of the counter? Or do you want to see the U.S. play how they did versus Portugal, where obviously you play some attractive soccer, you get forward, you go down the wings, you're not really exposing yourself, but you play a more attack-minded game. What do you guys think?
I mean, you want to get the win, and obviously like Ghana, we played terrible, you got the win, and everyone's like, we played terrible, we got the win. It doesn't matter. But I mean, for the sport itself to grow, I don't think if we had a Greek soccer team and we made it to knockout rounds and stuff, I don't think anyone would care. It'd just be so boring to watch. It's like the NBA, it's kind of, and MLB, like you gravitate towards watching the exciting teams, even if the other team is doing everything right. Like, oh, they have good fundamentals, they're playing good defense. Like even the Spurs, everyone loves the way they play, but I mean, a lot of people would rather watch the Heat or the Pacers, like a little more exciting teams. So I think in order for the sport to get momentum in the U.S., it's got to be exciting soccer, and I think there's going to be some growing pains with that because it's obviously easier to play the Catenaccio way. But I mean, I would go for a result, and if we lose it, if we tie Germany that way, it'd be fine. But if we get to the knockout round, I want to go all out because once we get to the knockout round, I think that's where we can kind of just like, hey, let's go for broke. But I mean, after that Portugal game where we should have already been there, I'm kind of in that spot where I'm like, I just want to not end the Thursday at like 1:30 just thinking to myself, what if? I don't want to be asking that question, so we can get the win there, but then if we get to the knockout round, then I want us to play attractive soccer and lose doing it or win doing it.
Mr. Antonucci, thoughts?
The Italian in me wants them to play defensive and counter. The American in me wants them to beat the crap out of them just like they did in the past 2 world wars. You know, I don't care.
Back World War champs.
Yeah, but you know, it's tough. I want them to advance, and I want to advance in the smartest way possible without losing anyone for the next round. So I
Yeah.
want to say I'm going to agree with Sean. I want them to play defensively so that they can either tie or maybe win on some sort of crap goal that just squeaks by the door because he's prone to mental lapses as well, just like Iker Casillas is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what
It's interesting actually. A couple of the German players actually, they were pretty complimentary of the U.S. in their performances, especially versus Portugal. And they actually they sounded a bit tentative. They said Germany, some of the players were even saying they want to play smart and not get too many numbers forward. They don't want to concede a goal and possibly be eliminated. I personally, on this topic, I would love to see us play how we did versus Portugal. I mean, it's not like with Portugal we were bombing numbers forward, but we were just playing good, intelligent soccer. When we had the ball, we really used the flanks, especially the right side. We had some good combination play. I really like that. But defensively, we were smart. When we could press, we did. But when we had to just sit and stay in a shell, we did. So I would love to see us play like that versus Germany because I think we've shown that we're capable of it. But as I mentioned before, it remains to be seen if we take a proactive approach. I'm nervous that we might give up a goal or Germany comes all on top of us before we start playing and really showing that we're equals with them.
Yeah, if we give up a goal, I'm gonna be like first. Like if we get a goal and we're up 1-0, we sit back, I'm fine. If we go down 1-0 against Germany, it's gonna be tough because I mean, like you said, smart, practical soccer, like we played against Portugal, is fine. But if we're playing, we have to get the goal now, and we open our field up, Germany could start just destroying us, and then we could destroy our goal difference, and then the Portuguese-Ghana game can lose more significance. It can snowball, and in the back of the head, you know that, so you kind of want them to play practical and smart. But I mean, like, I'd rather like just defensive-minded form, hold your lines, make smart runs. Don't lose the ball in the midfield and have them cross it across the middle and a game-tying goal at the last 93rd minute. I think they should play practical and smart, and I think they should not just sit back. But I mean, they really should make sure that they don't lose on goal differential because there's still a chance to lose and still win. So I don't want to ruin both chances.
I'm just hoping we play more like the Portugal, where we're attacking and defending smartly, rather than Ghana, where we're just absorbing pressure for 60, 70 minutes, where we're bound to break, especially of a team like Germany.
That was nerve-wracking. It wasn't even. It was. You just knew we were going to break. You're just like, when are we going to break?
It's too tough to do that against a quality team. But that being said, we're almost at an hour. Let's go over our key takeaways and main observations now that we've had about 2 weeks of the World Cup so far. What have you guys seen? What have you liked? Anything that's been on your mind with all these games.
I thought England would do better. I was disappointed. I did think they played better soccer than they usually do. I think they still have a lot of room for improvement. I mean, the talent's there. I really think they use the term golden generation way too much, but they do have finally, I think, players that can change how they play and play more continental. I think the South American teams this tournament have, like I suspected, have played awesome. Obviously, the environment supports that. Been really pumped about the CONCACAF teams. Costa Rica, I mean, like, really, I did not see that coming, and that really speaks to the CONCACAF strength of that, like, a small island nation has built to become good enough at soccer that they can challenge frequently, and that really speaks to our conference. And and then France, I did not think France would come out. France and Netherlands would play the way they did, and I'm kind of excited for it because Netherlands, it seems like when people are starting to count them out, they're playing harder. Like sometimes they get a little too confident in the way they do things, and they like to play total football and play pretty football. And right now, I think they're just we got to show everyone wrong because everyone counted us out. And I'm excited for what they can do. I mean, I don't think they're going to win it, but and then Belgium, I still thought have been playing very well, but I don't see something's not there. They don't seem to be as good as everyone thought they would be, and I'd like to see how they play in their knockout round because I don't think they're a dangerous dark horse as we thought they were, and I'm glad Justin's not here to defend himself.
All right, Steve, what have you been thinking?
I'm going to keep this short in general. I think from all the games that we've seen so far, you can take away that most of the smaller countries that have advanced so far have had great fundamentals, and they have not strayed away from it. And
Totally.
they have not made mental mistakes. They have not had many mental lapses that can cost you games, and that's what really, in these types of tournaments, what causes you to lose is someone just having what I would like to call a brain fart and just completely forgetting what they're doing for a solid 2 seconds, and that costs your whole nation a goal. That costs your whole nation to get knocked out of a tournament. And if people stay true to what they're capable to do within themselves for the whole team, that's what brings everyone together. You're going to have one leader who's going to motivate everyone to do so. And as long as you stay by those rules, I think teams like the U.S. will advance.
All right, I have 3 quick things I wanted to say. First, obviously, the World Cup. It's always amazing stories and so much drama. So this World Cup has obviously delivered. There's been a lot of goals as well, which has been great to see. Steve's got his U.S. ball. 2, kind of on Sean's point, I've been impressed by. I've enjoyed the fact that a lot of teams that sport a lot of players outside of the Big Four leagues have done well. A lot of the Dutch players actually play in the Eredivisie still. They're not in the major leagues. Colombia and Chile have a lot of players in the South American leagues. And I kind of like that. I like when it's not dominated by just players from the Big Four leagues. And then the third thing, I've been really interested in all the tactics and tactical changes that have been going on. A lot of teams have been playing 3-man defenses or like 5-man defenses with really high wing backs. And I just like how teams are innovating and thinking of new ways to approach the game. So I'm definitely keeping my eye out for that. So what do you guys, any thoughts on anything we've all said, or should we sign off here?
No, I think we've covered everything well. I mean, I got to say that this USA game, I'm going to be sleeping fits until that game. And I had a bad dream, which I hope doesn't come right. I hope it's not an equivalent of John Brooks' dream. I had a dream that the U.S. got a red card during that game and lost 3-0. So let's really hope that my clairvoyant abilities are lacking, because that would be devastating.
Well, if it's anything like your mustache, it's probably curved and terrible.
And slightly green.
And slightly green.
Or if you know, Sean.
I'm just going to cover it up with the American flag. Let's go, USA. I believe that we can win.